perishes as a sign of his dominion over nature and his love for humanity to feed humanity. But when you look at certain numbers and certain aspects, they speak of something deeper, a greater spiritual symbolism, spiritual dimension. Firstly, you have 7, 5 loaves and 2 fishes. The number 7 appears. And the number 7 speaks about completion, but for our sacramental purposes, the 7 sacraments. And there's a distinction here between 5 loaves and 2 fishes, and maybe I'm drawing a bit of a long bow here. But when we classify the sacraments, we also have a distinction between 5 and 2. 5 of the sacraments are received by us individually for our own sanctification and for this life, in this life, in preparation for the next life. The 2 sacraments are what we call communitarian sacraments or social sacraments to build the church, holy matrimony and holy order. In Mark's Gospel that you just heard, and John doesn't give us this detail in his account in chapter 6, we see that the people, 5,000 men, by the way, that is literally 5,000 men, doesn't include their wives and children, so the miracle is greater than just feeding 5,000. They're divided in groups of 50s and 100s. This is deliberate. For me, I haven't read this anywhere, so this is my guesswork here. This shows the model of the church in the future, divided to be organised between parishes, they're the 50, dioceses, they're the 100. Jesus feeds the people of God, through his ministers. He multiplies the bread and the loaves, but he distributes them through his disciples. In the same way, Jesus feeds us through the sacraments, but those sacraments are administered to us through the successors to the disciples. That is our bishops today, the priesthood, the ministerial priesthood. Another interesting fact relating to a number. At the end, there are how many baskets left over that are full? 12. The number 12 always speaks about the people of God, the 12 tribes of Israel, and Jesus is rebuilding the 12 tribes of Israel to create a new universal Israel, symbolized by the number 12 again. The 12 baskets are full to tell us that Jesus has enough food to feed all these people endlessly. The miraculous bread is more than enough, and that we can never exhaust it. That points to the future, points to the Eucharist. Jesus will feed the new Israel through a bread that he will multiply daily, which can never be exhausted. Now, John takes this event, it's recorded in chapter 6, and immediately he gives us another event. The following day, when these people who've been fed follow Jesus to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, and they catch up with Jesus. I'm going to read to you something from verse 27 in chapter 6, where Jesus upbraids these good people in a certain way. He says, do not work for the food that perishes. You're coming to me basically looking for more free sandwiches. But for that, work for the food that endures for eternal life. That's another food, which the Son of Man will give to you. Future tense. Jesus has already given them a food yesterday. He's promising now to give them another food in the future. What is that food? He gives us hints. I'll go straight to verse 51, where Jesus says, John 6:51, verse 52, if anyone eats from this bread that he promises in the future, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh for the life of the world. Then there's controversy, but John reaffirms it. In verse 54, amen, amen, I say to you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you'll have no life in you. Jesus in the future is going to promise a new bread and a new drink that he will give. And for the life of the world, well, let's look at this verse where Jesus says, whoever eats this bread will live forever. Whoever eats this bread, I will raise him up on the last day. When does Jesus give us this new bread and new drink? At the Last Supper, a year later. It's another bread and another drink that will conquer death. When we believe and say in the creed we believe in the resurrection of the body and the life everlasting, how are we going to rise from the dead in a glorified, resurrected body? Because we receive faithfully the Eucharist. It is the Eucharist that we receive which will be the conqueror of death. That is why St. Ignatius of Antioch, who was up the road here in Syria as the third bishop of Antioch, before he was martyred in the 107, wrote that the Eucharist is the antidote to death, the bread of immortality. And this links to what I said to you when we were at Nebo, that Jesus will plant a new cross, a new tree of life to replace what was lost in the garden. We saw that prefigured in the Nehushtan with the snake, the image, the bronze image on that pole. Jesus lifts up a new pole. Here's that new body on that pole. What is born from his side are the sacraments of baptism and the Eucharist. It is the cross of Jesus who gives us a new food, that's a new tree of life and a new food for eternal life, and that is the Eucharist. I think every time now we go to Mass, we should keep that in mind, that what we're receiving is not just bread and wine, not just ordinary food, but a food for everlasting life, glorified body. Amen. Thank you.